Just for sheer entertainment purposes, those new buyers and new people that are new to the industry or new to the real estate market, let's talk just for a couple seconds about when you say the term short sale, for an example. That was one of the, I mean, I did hundreds of short sales with you back in the day for clients. Can you explain to us what a short sale is and maybe the positive side of it and then the ramifications of it?
You typically, when you sell a property, you have to get enough money out of the sale proceeds to pay your closing costs and commission and transfer fees, and then still have enough money left over to pay your mortgage off. Okay. Otherwise, you'd have to bring and write a check or, at closing. With a short sale, the lender allows you to deduct all those closing costs, and then they accept the difference, what's left over, even if you're short 10,000 on your mortgage, 20,000, 30,000, whatever it is. They allow you to do that, and they agree to let you sell it and release the mortgage so that you can move on and avoid foreclosure. That is a great help to a lot of people.
And I think, Jeff, too, just kind of to jump in, back in the days, the economy and the world was accounted differently. The way banks would take debt back in-house was completely different. And these banks, so they didn't become insolvent, had to really put pressure on the government to allow them to hold some of these negative loans or bad loans, as I said, on their books, and allow them, the consumer, then also to not go into foreclosure. To avoid foreclosure, they would do these short sales, right? And then the big thing, though, that was really, I think you and I were most excited about, is when they started changing the law so that the consumer on a federal level was not taxed for the amount that they were short. And on a state level, then eventually Minnesota followed along. I think they have a little bit of a lag time. And eventually the state would forgive that amount, because let's say, for an example, somebody they'd have a short sale and they're upside down $400,000, because there was some of these doozies that you and I would do that were big. And it was a lot that these banks were writing off. In the old days, they used to be taxed for that short. So, you were given money in sense by being gifted or have it given away. And so they would tax you on it. So you'd get out of trouble, but you'd automatically go into tax trouble. So maybe talk just a little bit about that and how.
From what you were talking about, Andy, about the tax consequences. Yeah, that, in any sort of loan, if a car loan, home loan, if a lender cancels debt, that's supposed to be taxable income to the borrower. But as far as federal law, there has been what's called the Mortgage Debt Forgiveness Act of 2007. That's been extended through 2025, so that if it's your primary residence and you have a short sale or a foreclosure, you get a 1099, you don't have to pay income tax on that. Now, the state of Minnesota has, like you said, Andy, at times followed, or what they call conformed to that tax treatment, and there was no state income tax. Through 2022, state of Minnesota was conforming, and I haven't been able to verify for sure that they're going to do conformity for 2023 or 2024. It seems like their decision comes out late in the year or beginning of the next year before before tax filing starts. So we should know any. Yeah.
I was going to say what's really interesting, though, is that as your house grows and just like a portfolio of mutual funds, it grows in value. Eventually, you're going to have to pay tax on that. So think of this for an example. So your house, let's say you bought it for $600,000. Now it's up to $900,000 in value, and you have to do a debt consolidation. You pull out, let's say $150,000 to pay off all your other debts, and that's one version of what happens. In 2005, 4, 6, whatever, you pick the year, you and I both had people that we knew that would have their house appreciate $400,000, and they'd pull out all $400,000, because that back then you could go 100% debt. They didn't care because everything kept going up in value. And you pull that $400,000 out, and they go buy a nice big Sea Ray, put it down at the old St. Croix, and have their big yacht paid for in cash. And then the house would get foreclosed on. So this is why they tax, because there is a gain in some cases, right? I mean, can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. There is, because if the debt was not used for purchase or improvement of your residence, just like you're saying, Andy, then there's a tax consequence to it when the debt is canceled. So if you don't pay back that debt, there is a tax consequence. There is income. So
And I
So
think a lot of
absolutely.
people got away with it, to be honest with you. I don't think there was a lot of, but they could, right? I mean, there's the potential, but there was a lot of people I saw them literally get away with murder. I mean, there was so much fraudulent activity back then. It was the wild, wild west for a little while. I mean, it was
Yes.
literally, I mean, yesterday we had an opportunity, a speaking engagement we did where we had a panel of agents, and they asked me, they said, "Hey, Andy, what's the craziest situation you've ever been in real estate with an offer that came in?" And I said, well, as a listing agent, I said, and first of all, this is at the time was legal. There was no CFPB. There was no, anybody watching. I mean, there was rules, but not really. This guy had a $1.2 million house and wanted to offer because he was doing very well, and then he did really bad. So he had this car that was paid for, he wanted to get rid of anyway. But if he sold the house for 1.2 million, he was going to clear over 600,000 out of that house, which would fix all of his problems. He could move on with life.